If you are watching this video, you are probably already on a quest to get bigger and stronger, to be better at your sport, or just to be a little bit harder to kill. The goal of this video is to give you some very simple principles that you can use to start to build your first diet. These are things that took me a really long time to figure out, but once I did figure them out, my physique and my performance blossomed. Like anything in life, figuring out your diet is a journey. You will make mistakes and you will learn along the way. But every journey begins with the first step, and my goal with this video is to just help you get those first steps pointed in the right direction. I'm not going to get too fancy or delve too much into science in this video, but I do want to give a few really important pieces of information that you should know if you're going to try to build a diet. Very simply, anything you ever eat is made up of protein, carbs, and fats. Each of these have a really important role to play in your body. Protein is the currency of muscle growth. New tissue is built by these proteins in your diet being broken down and absorbed by your body. Carbohydrates are fuel for performance, used by your brain and your body every day. They also make sure that the protein that you're taking in is getting absorbed and used to its fullest extent. If you want to think about protein as the building blocks of muscle, you can think about carbs as a construction crew that puts those blocks together into the building of muscle. And lastly, fats. Fats get broken down by your body and used to make the hormones that you need to grow big and strong. And they also provide fuel for the body, but in a less efficient way than carbs do. So in review, protein, carbs, and fats are what makes up all of our food. Protein and carbs are the things that are two most related to us gaining size and muscle, so we're going to try to add more of those to our diet if we want to get bigger. And now the first steps to actually building out your new diet plan. If your goal is to gain some muscle, then what you need to do is very simple. Eat more. As long as you're eating more on average than your body burns, you will gain weight. To do this, you can very simply eat more at every meal throughout the day, or what I would recommend is just add 1 to 2 smaller feedings throughout the day. And this is on top of the meals that you would regularly have anyway. A few simple options here. A peanut butter jelly and a glass of juice. Some Greek yogurt with some berries and some cereal. A bowl of oatmeal and a glass of chocolate milk. I don't want to make this too complicated. It really does not matter what the sources are. But what does matter is that you start to purposefully eat more of them every day. And yes, I mean every day. If you've never actually tried to put size on before, if you do this consistently and actually eat enough, you will get bigger. This is not an overnight process. It's going to take many weeks, if not a few months. But if you can't be patient for a few months, you don't deserve to have muscles in the first place. But I already eat so much and I'm not gaining weight. No, you don't. Eat more. When kids ask me what they need to eat to get bigger, my answer is always just more. Like I said before, if we can, we'll try to add more carbs and protein, particularly because they'll improve your performance. But if you don't get enough food in general, it'll all be a waste. So that's all. It's that simple. It might not be easy, but that's all you need to do. Just focus on eating more every day. Once you've done this for a while, you might start to want to get a little more serious. This is when I would recommend you start to track your macros. And by tracking your macros, I mean having a specific target for protein, carbs, and fats on a daily basis. You do this through the use of a food scale, measuring out the food you eat, tracking what those things are in an app like Chronometer, MyFitnessPal. There's a lot of those out there now. And by tracking the stuff you're eating every day, you can have an actual log of what you're taking in, instead of just guessing on a weekly basis if you're getting enough food. I do want to give the caveat that you do not need to do this, but starting to track your food is like the same idea as when you track your weights when you train. When you start to measure things, when you start to put them down on paper, things start to get improved. This goes for all things in life, but especially for your training. When you have physical outputs written down on paper, it's hard to ignore if you're getting better or worse at something. So if you're serious, I would recommend it, but like I said, if you're a beginner, you really don't have to. Okay, now for some beginner ways to track your macros. You're gonna need a food scale. You can get one very cheap, less than $15. Target, Walmart, Amazon, whatever. You can get them all over the place. Get friendly with your scale and learn how to weigh your food. Use a combination of the nutrition label that's on the box and an app like Chronometer or MyFitnessPal to track the macros. The first step is to find the starting point for how many calories you should be eating in a day. Look up calorie calculator online and punch in your information. This will estimate about how many calories you need in a day to stay the same weight. And a side note, make sure to look at the active tab if you're an athlete who's practicing 5+ days a week, which you probably are. To start off, the first goal of your gain diet, find that number that it says to keep you the same weight and just add 300 calories on top of that. And that is now your number to hit every day. The exact breakdown of those calories don't matter the most, but like I said, we want to lean more towards carbs and protein. So I'll give you a really easy baseline to start with. Take your body weight in pounds, multiply that times 0.8, and that'll be the amount of grams of protein you start with. Take your body weight again, multiply it by 0.5 grams, and that's the amount of fats you'll have every day. Add those two numbers up, subtract them from the total calories you need to get every day, and just fill in the rest with carbs. I know that's a lot of math, so here's an example. Let's say you're an athlete that is 5'10", 16 years old, old and you weigh 160 pounds. You're practicing about 5 days a week, so you're going to plug all that stuff in the calculator, and it's going to give you a calorie amount of about 2,700 a day to stay the same weight. So to find your weight gain diet calories, we're going to add 300 to that 2,700 that we started with. So we're going to look for about 3,000 calories a day. And if you use the same calculations I just gave you, your protein will come out to 130 grams a day, your fats will come out to 80, and your carbs will come out to 440 for a grand total of 3,000 calories. And I get this is a lot of math, so if you need to, leave your height, weight, and age in the comments, and I'll give you a baseline to start with. But now that you have your real intake, all you need to do is hit that every day. And that is really simple in theory, but it might not be so easy. That's why I'm saying if you're a real beginner, you don't need to do this. Just focus on eating more. But if you really feel like you want to try this, do it. It is the most efficient way to make sure you're eating the right amount of food, even though it can be really difficult at first. But as it turns out, champions tend to do really difficult things on a regular basis. That is as much detail as I'll go into today. But I have a few more points and a few things to wrap this up, including a couple tips for my guys that are really struggling to get that much food down. The first one is that liquid calories are your friend. Drink some juice, drink some milk, drink some protein drinks. If you don't have to chew something, it's a lot easier to get it down. I used to drink a gallon of whole milk a day on top of food to gain weight when I was in college. I would not necessarily recommend that, but if it's that or nothing, maybe we'll take the milk. The second is that processed foods are fine. I'm talking like bread, pasta, cereal, stuff like that. Don't listen to TikTok. People say processed foods are bad for a reason. It's really easy to eat a lot of them. So if you're struggling to eat enough, eating these type of foods can be a hack. So put down some cereal, man. And ultra hack number 3, if you really can't gain weight trying to add more protein and carbs, just add more fat. You get more than double the amount of calories in a gram of fat than you do in a gram of protein or carbs. And again, probably the 4th time I'm reiterating that protein and carbs should be the goal, but the underpinning of all of this, if you're not eating enough in general, none of this matters. So drink some full fat milk, have some yogurt, have a little bit of ice cream if you need to. Not that you should be like eating butter or crazy shit like that, but a spoonful of peanut butter helps here and there. Also, this one goes for everyone. Eat mom's dinner, even if you're tracking. It's almost certainly not that serious yet. You don't want to be a chud that's not going to eat mom's lasagna because you're dialed in for football season, bro. Especially if you're actually trying to get bigger. Food made with love makes you huge. And if I could only give one piece of advice for this whole video, it is be consistent. If you do really well 3 or 4 days a week and you're eating your extra food and you're getting your carbs and your protein in, but then the other 2 or 3 days a week you go back to your old ways, you're going to spin your tires and waste your damn time. That is not what winners do. Winners show up, they're consistent, and they do what needs to be done. This is where the men are separated from the boys. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, if this helped, subscribe, like, hit the Instagram, follow me on there, and leave a comment. Like I said, if you need some help setting up the macros, I will gladly do that for you. And go eat a damn meal.